Shop.
Hi, I'm calling to find out about my car, the transmission.
Your vehicle manufacturer's warranty has expired or is about to.
How much?
I think $5,000.
Wow, that's crazy.
You still like your car, so get Endurance's low-cost vehicle coverage plan and save your money. The cost of living is going up. The last thing you need is a sudden, devastating expense. Avoid that with Endurance's low-cost vehicle coverage plan. Sorry, lady.
It's okay. I'm covered. Go ahead and fix it.
If you own a 2004 or newer made vehicle, you may qualify to have your vehicle protected under this special coverage and have all future covered auto repairs paid directly to the repair shop for you. It's simple. You pick the deductible, you pick the coverage, you even choose your own repair shop. Roadside service and towing is included. Now you can stop worrying about unexpected repair bills. Call 800-260-1679 for your free, no obligation 5-minute quote. 800-260-1679. 800-260-1679.
When Kansas storms knock the power out, many homes turn to portable generators. If you use a generator, don't risk a fire or shock. Follow the generator's instructions and plug appliances into your generator. Never connect your generator into your home's electric system unless a licensed electrician has installed a double throw switch. Lastly, only run your generator outside, away from doors or windows. Never in a garage or carport. A safety message from Midwest Energy, a customer-owned cooperative making energy work for you.
The Farmers State Bank of Oakley has been financing agriculture since the day we opened our doors. Hello, this is Corbin, and we are proud to be your locally owned partner in ag. We invite you to come and visit with us when you need to purchase new or used farm equipment, or need any type of agriculture or business loan. We have the knowledge, experience, and financial resources to keep you growing. The Farmers State Bank of Oakley, a tradition of community and agriculture for over 115 years. Member FDIC.
Keep your ride running at peak performance by scheduling an appointment with the Daves at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland, Kansas. Hurl's has a full-service service department where they'll work on all makes and models, not just GM. They do tire repair and replacement. They'll make sure your AC is running at its best for these hot summer months. Plus, customers who bought a used vehicle from Hurl's get a lifetime warranty and reduced oil change prices. So get your appointment scheduled today by calling 785-890-0000. That's 890-0000 and ask for Dave. You're sure to get one of them.
When you walk into your local Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware, you'll see that Nick and the staff have a little bit of everything for the warmer months ahead. Keep the lawn in shape with mowers, blowers, and trimmers from Craftsman, Toro, and Ego. Freshen up the look of a room or the whole place with Benjamin Moore paints. Keep the family fed and happy with grills from Traeger, Weber, and Blackstone. And be sure to take advantage of the lower lumber prices. Plus, they're looking for people to join their amazing teams at Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware, with locations in Goodland and Colby. Open every day but Sunday.
Often life is a pain, and it doesn't have to be. Call for your appointment with Dr. Barnes at Barnes Chiropractic in Goodland, Burlington, and Cheyenne Wells. Now celebrating over 20 years of assisting families in the tri-state area. From newborns to great-grandparents, Barnes Chiropractic will help you with many pain-related issues. You know, regular visits make a big difference in your daily lives. That's Barnes Chiropractic in Goodland, Burlington, and Cheyenne Wells. Don't be in pain. Call Dr. Barnes today.
Your livelihood is important to you. You work hard to succeed in your farming operation, crop, livestock, home, vehicles, and special needs. We have you covered. Discounts are available for new business, remodeling, hail-resistive roofing, multi-policy, and many more. Optional coverage endorsements as well for machinery, ingestion, and equipment breakdown. Umbrella coverage for additional coverage on your home, farm, and auto. See the girls at the insurance agency at 1020 Main in Goodland or call 785-899-5011.
Rise and shine. It's butt whipping time.
It's time for the Morning Blitz with Ross Folkmer.
That broadcast school has really paid off.
And Christian Peck Dimmitt.
Do you want to keep this job? Shut up, listen, learn.
The region's only local sports talk show, discussing it all from the preps to the pros.
What time is it?
Simulcasting on AM 730 Fox Sports Tri-State, streaming online at nwksradio.net and the Rockingham app.
They are everywhere.
The Blitz is presented by the Insurance Agency, the Farmers State Bank in Oakley, the Cowboy Corner Express, and Equity Bank of Hoxie, Quinter, and Grinnell.
Stop what you're doing and listen.
The 1-1. Ditches in the air, center field. Tears goes back into the alley, on the move, and hangs on! Just like Hunter Beasley. Kavara's Tears up to the task. On the ground, could be two, could end the game, and it will. A&M on to the College World Series Finals to take on Tennessee.
And the payoff. Fly ball deep center. And a catch by Verdugo. Oh, what a play. To keep it a one-run game, Masevich loves it.
Drill deep right field. If it's fair, it's gone. It is off the pole. A 2-out, 2-run homer for King Kwan. He stays absolutely red hot at the plate.
The pitch in the air to center field. This is going to be deep enough, I think. Pajes makes the catch. Cade tags. Coming to the plate. Ball game. Brenton Doyle with his second sacrifice fly of the night. And 24 hours after a disastrous loss in the ninth inning yesterday, the Rockies walk it off.
Happy Thursday morning, everybody. Glad you're with us here on the Morning Blitz on 102.5 U-Rock, as well as AM 730 Fox Sports Tri-State. Of course, also online at nwksradio.net and the Rocking M app. Of course, also catch us live on the video stream, the Hurl Chevrolet GMC video stream. YouTube, Facebook, Twitter /X, whatever you want to call it. Glad you're with us here on this Thursday morning. Ross Volkmer with you, flying solo today and tomorrow. No Christian Peck-Dimmitt. He is out for a wedding down in the Phoenix area for this weekend with a friend of his. So you just have me for the next couple of days. But that's all right. We will have some guests coming on over the next 2 days. Today's guest, by the way, our former co-host, Dan Lucero, stopping by the program to talk many different topics. We'll dive into possibly a new stadium in the state of Kansas for the Chiefs and the Royals. We'll touch base on lots of other things, including Major League Baseball, as we get into closer and closer to the midpoint of the season. Still, it's hard to believe. Usually kind of gets around July 4th. It's kind of the middle of summer, but Major League Baseball season kind of marks the it's kind of changed a little bit. It used to be where the All-Star game was kind of the middle break, but they kind of go past the middle before they have the All-Star break anymore. And that's still probably 3-4 weeks away from the All-Star game that'll be taking place this year in Major League Baseball. But anyway, Dan Lucero will join the show. We'll get you a College World Series update. We know who is going to play for a national title. That will be Tennessee and Texas A&M. We'll have a brand new national champion in college baseball. Neither team has ever won a national title in college baseball. More thoughts on that. The Rockies with a bounce-back win after a terrible loss just a couple nights ago. 2 nights ago. So we'll talk about that. And the Royals still cannot find a way to win. They've actually lost the series against the Athletics. Some more thoughts on that coming up a little bit later on the program. But as always, if you'd like to be part of the show, the best way to do it is through the FNB Bank text line. That number is 785-899-2222. 785-899-2222 to be a part of the show on the FNB Bank text line. The Hoover hotline also available as well here on this edition of the Morning Blitz. And let me know what you're thinking. Give me your thoughts and comments throughout the program. As they say, keep me company here on a day we're once again kind of flying solo for most of it. But that's always the interesting thing. Like, I was like, well, what am I going to talk about with myself? And I used to do this before Christian even came on the show. Like, well, what do I want to talk about? And particularly in the summertime, because especially after yesterday, where really the College World Series was the only thing really going on in live sports, unless, of course, you love the UEFA Euros that are going on right now, I think over in Germany. Which I admit I don't know anything about that. So there's not a lot. And, of course, Major League Baseball going on. We're right in the thick of that. So it's kind of a slower time in the sports world. So I was like, well, what am I going to talk about if I can find something to talk about? And I have to go back to what I love to discuss on this show and discuss really in daily life. And as we get, we're still probably 70-some days away from the college football season getting going. But there is one thing that stood out to me is
I was away, of course, last weekend. I was in a grocery store and they had a magazine rack as I was checking out, and they had the preview. I love this time of year because you see the college football preview magazines start coming out, whether it's Lindy's or Athlon. After July 4th, you'll see, of course, Phil Steele hit the shelves, which is considered the absolute Bible of college football. And it truly is. There is a lot of information inside that Phil Steele, almost to the point to where it's too hard to it's almost too hard to figure out to read it all because there's so much information jam-packed in that. So I actually don't even mind, and I'll usually get the Phil Steele because he's definitely the most accurate when it comes to information. It's just a lot of information. I kind of like a little bit more of the lighter reading that you get from maybe the Lindy's or the Athlon magazine. So anyway, long story short, I was at this grocery store. I saw an Athlon preview magazine. I picked it up and I bought it, and I've been kind of skimming through it over the last few days when I've ever had a little bit of time. And anyway, I was skimming through this magazine, and I came across a section called "The 15 Things to Watch in the Upcoming 2024 Season." And a lot of it's talking about, of course, the 12-team playoff and certain, Texas and Oklahoma joining the SEC, and the Big Ten getting 4 teams to join them from over on the West Coast, all that kind of stuff. Coach Prime even makes the headlines, of course, again in there too. And they talk about other programs as well. But these are the 15 things to watch in 2024. And the one thing that stood out to me the most was number 7 on the 15 things to watch. It says, transfers dominate the starting quarterback ranks. And this is what it says here. This is according to Athlon Sports College Football 2024 Preview. This is straight from the book. Finding a new starting quarterback has never been easier thanks to the portal, new unlimited transfer rules. With the right fit under center, teams can supercharge or turn around in just one offseason. Just how important are transfer quarterbacks this season? Here is the unbelievable stat that just blew my mind when I was reading this. More than 200 quarterbacks entered the portal this previous offseason, and nearly 60% of college football teams are likely to start a transfer. That was the stat that blew my mind. Once again, I'm going to read this stat again. Talking college football quarterbacks. More than 200 signal callers entered the portal this offseason, and nearly 60% of college football teams are likely to start a transfer. 200 signal callers and 60% of teams are going to start a different quarterback than they did last year. From the that is from the transfer portal. That does not include guys, that they're actually going to bring up and start brand new because they were with the program. I mean, to me, that stat is mind-boggling. 200 kids went in the portal, and 60% of them are going to start for a different college football team. That's nuts. And all you have to do is turn the pages. All you have to do is turn the pages in here and just start looking and seeing who is starting at quarterback for any of these teams. So we'll just play this game for fun. I've got the magazine right in front of me right here. You can see it on the Hurl Chevrolet GMC video stream. I got this right in front of me. So I'm going to open up just a page. Well, look here. Here is Syracuse, of the ACC, although Stanford is part of the ACC now. And who's at quarterback? Kyle McCord. You know where Kyle McCord was last year? He was at Ohio State. Let's play this game again. Let's turn the page here and see. Oh, let's see here. I was doing this yesterday, and let's see. Florida State. Here's another one. Florida State. Last year, of course, they had Jordan Travis, who graduated, but they have a new quarterback, DJ Uiagalelei. Who remembers where he was? Well, he started his career at Clemson. It didn't go well for him there. He went to Oregon State for a year. Jonathan Smith left to take the Michigan State job. He is now at Florida State. There is a change. Let's see. Let's just do this again. I keep opening up to the same page all the time, which I find is funny. Here's Wake Forest. Wake Forest, of course, really struggled last year. Remember, they had Sam Hartman a couple years ago. He went to Notre Dame, and they decided to go with Mitch Griffs this previous season. It did not go well. So they've decided to bring in Hank Bachmeier. Bachmeier, by the way, also this will be his third stop in his collegiate career. Bachmeier went to Boise State for a couple of seasons, then to Louisiana Tech last year, and now is at Wake Forest. So let's get, this is my point. It's amazing to me. And like I said, you can do this all throughout the entire booklet. You can open up here to the Big Ten. Here's Wisconsin. Tyler Van Dyke is slated to be the starter this year for Wisconsin. Last year, it did not go well with the quarterback that they had. They decided to bring in Tyler Van Dyke, who was at Miami the previous year. Washington Huskies last year lost Michael Penix. They bring in a transfer quarterback, Will Rogers. He was at Mississippi State the previous season. It is amazing. Let's see here. Chris O'Rourke. He's at Indiana. I don't know if he's a guy that I think he might have been a guy that actually transferred with the coach from no, actually he was at Miami of Ohio. Is that right? He was the MAC offensive player. Sorry, it was the Ohio transfer. He's from Ohio. Was Chris Rourke, now going to Indiana. That's my point. That's the point I'm trying to make. It's amazing to me to just take this book, this magazine, and open it up and to just look at all the different quarterbacks that have moved, not only this year, but where they've been in previous stops before. It is absolutely crazy to me. Now, I do have to say, I have to give some credit to some programs here. I mean, there are plenty. I mean, BYU, of course, I was looking here, new quarterback at Baylor. They got a young man out of Toledo who was very, very good. DeQuan Finn, who's going to be a senior there for the Baylor Bears. But I got to give a credit. You go through kind of the Big 12 a little bit, you see a decent amount of quarterbacks who are back playing where they were last year. Starting at first and foremost with Kansas and Kansas State. Jalen Daniels is back at KU, although an injury-riddled season last year, and Avery Johnson, who was the backup last year and played a little bit, now is the full-time starter. Colorado has Shedeur Sanders. No surprise there. He wasn't going to leave if his dad was there. Rocco Becht, the freshman last year, now a sophomore for Ohio State. Like I said, you can roll through. So I give credit to the Big 12 a little bit for the players that they have been able to keep around a little bit, but keep around in their programs. But like I said, this is just, it's crazy to me, once again, to just hear that stat. Over 200 quarterbacks enter the portal, and because of that, 60% of them will be starting at different programs. That's just amazing to me. So you're going to turn on the TV or go to a game this year and you'll be like, oh, I remember that guy. Gosh, wasn't he playing for, I don't know, I can't remember what program it was. You go back, you look it up. Oh, yeah, he was at that program last year. And now he's here. That is today and age's college football and college athletics, to be completely honest with you. I get it. I get it. People are going to say, hey, if the coaches can get a pick up and leave, why can't the kids? I hear you. I get it. I just miss the days where, you recruited a kid out of high school, you developed him up, and then hopefully by the time he was a sophomore or redshirt sophomore or a junior, you'd get a couple of years out of him, and then he would be on his way either to the NFL or he wasn't good enough, so he was going to go into something else in life. I miss those days. I just do. I miss those days. Now, don't get me wrong. There are some areas where I do feel kind of good. Like DeQuan Finn, the quarterback out of Baylor. I don't feel too bad about, he's going to be a senior. He's got 1 year left, I believe, at Baylor. I believe he was a really, really good player at Toledo for the first few years. Okay, so you went there for 3 years or 4 years at Toledo, and you want to give it just one more shot at a bigger school to see how you might stack up. I don't have a problem with that. It's kind of like the grad transfer rule. I've always thought I loved the grad transfer rule. If you graduated, you could transfer 1 year. You could then go 1 more year to get a graduate's degree at another program. You're continuing your education, and you want to try something better. I loved it, the Russell Wilson type deal. I thought that was great. But seeing a whole bunch of different, seeing a whole bunch of different quarterbacks in different places every single year is just amazing to me. It simply is. It is simply amazing to see that. And once again, I go back and I give a ton of credit to Kansas and Kansas State and how their coaches and Chris Kleiman, as well as Lance Leipold, have done a great job of bringing in players and finding a way to keep them around and develop them, probably without the biggest NIL war chest in comparison to the super powerful ones. I mean, decent sized ones, but nothing in comparison to your Alabamas or your Oregons or things of that sort. So I find that, so I give them a ton of credit. They've done a great job of building chemistry in that locker room and keeping guys, for the most part, happy and are able to have success on the field at the same time. Now like I said, I've been a big buyer of the Kansas stock, especially for this season. If Jalen Daniels can stay healthy, I don't see why Kansas can't have a season where they finish in the top couple of spots, even being a threat to play in the Big 12 title game this year. Kansas State, I still think they have a ton of great pieces. I just get a little concerned about the youth that Avery Johnson brings to the quarterback spot, being the full-time starter. That's where I get a little bit concerned with Avery Johnson. He's a phenomenal athlete, and he's great. I get a little concerned sometimes about, well, are you going to possibly put him in there in situations that he's just not quite comfortable with yet? Is the offense going to rely on him a little bit too much at times? That's where I get a little bit concerned about that. So that intrigues me there with the Avery Johnson situation. But I feel really good about Lance Leipold and Jalen Daniels if they can keep him healthy. I feel good about Kansas. I feel good about Kansas State. I just feel a little bit better about Kansas because of the experience that they have, especially under center. But it'll be health issues that plague KU, if possibly, because they have in the past. But both have really good teams, and I have just a ton of respect for those coaches and how they've been able to take their programs and keep their players there and develop them and kind of do it the old way, the traditional way, instead of it the new way where we're bringing in new pieces every single year. And look, I get some programs are like, gosh, we're a quarterback away from being good. And that may be true. So let's go out and get a transfer. I totally get it. Totally understand it. But I miss those days. I miss the days of trying to of when coaching mattered. You had to develop your guys coaching really mattered because you had to develop guys over time to get them to be ready. And it's just that, once again, the whole thing that sparked this whole first point of this conversation was just the stat from Athlon Sports was that over 200 quarterbacks entered the portal this previous offseason, and 60% of them will be playing at a different university this season. Some of them for the third different stop during their college tour. It's just it's a completely different time, and it's very, very odd for a guy who's kind of a traditionalist like me. But that's the way it's going, and that's the way it is right now. So anyway, fun facts here on a Thursday morning about the college football world and how many different quarterbacks you're going to see at different spots again. And this is the future unless they make some changes to the rules. This is the future. You're going to see guys jumping around and playing at 3 different spots during the course of their career, possibly more. And that's the way it's going to be. Some guys are going to chase the money. Some guys are going to chase the rings. We'll just see how it goes from there. All right, we're right near the bottom of the hour. Let's take a break. When we come back here on a Thursday, Dan Lucero, not only is a great sports talk guy, he's a brand new dad. Welcomed in a baby boy just a few weeks ago. We're visiting with him about the early weeks of fatherhood, as well as plenty of other great sports stories coming up here with Dan Lucero, our former co-host, here on a Thursday morning here on the Morning Blitz.
Don't let spring allergies make you miserable. Try the quick, drug-free solution trusted by over 4 million people. Navage. Only Navage uses suction to flush out your sinuses using refreshing saline, helping you breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier. And here's even better news. Navage is now available at your local Sam's Club in a great new value pack. It's everything you need to start breathing better immediately at Sam's guaranteed best price. Navage. Navage. Breathe easy.
Some people just know the best rate for you is a rate based on you with Allstate. And look at you, hands perfectly placed on the wheel, not like the driver to the right of you who's really going after that drum solo. Save with DriveWise in the Allstate app and only pay a rate based on you.
Not available in every state, subject to terms and conditions. Rating factors and savings vary, and in some states your rate could increase with high-risk driving. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
It's time for a check of the markets with the Anderson Trade Group on the Kansas Farm and Ranch Radio Network.
Good morning. This is Tom Saludo with the Anderson Trade Group with your overnight market report on June the 20th. In the overnight session, July corn was down 4 at 446, SEP down 5 at 450.5, and D's down 4.5 at 463. July soybeans were down 5.5 at 1168.25. August soybeans were down 6 at 1150, and SEP down 6.5 at 1123. Kansas City hard red winter wheat was down 7 at 593.75. SEP KC wheat was down 7.5 at 602, and D's was down 8.25 at 619. The Dow Jones is currently down 41 points at 39,246. The S&P is up 12 points at 5,571. NASDAQ is up 73 points at 20,269. Gold is slightly up at 23.51, and crude oil is slightly up at 82 a barrel. If you're out in the Colorado area and have any risk management questions or grain to market, please reach out to John Handke at 970-744-4484, or you can call the Overland Park office, myself, Tom Saludo, Jared Law, or Tyler Ghosh at 913-748-3000. Thank you.
There are a lot of inconsistencies when growing soybeans. The soil, the weather, the market. You need something you can count on, like Revitech fungicide from BASF. It consistently outyields other fungicides by up to 9.5 bushels per acre, consistently wins in on-farm head-to-head comparisons, and consistently makes for happy farmers. Revitech fungicide. Visit revxfields.com for full results. Always read and follow label directions. Yield data based on summary of 2019 through 2022 Revex field scale demonstration trials.
Today, we're talking with aphids and whiteflies about Safina insecticide from BASF. We just got nailed with it. So tell us, how you feeling?
Really, really weird.
And you still want to devour this field?
No way,
bro. There you have it, folks. Safina insecticide is specifically engineered to disorient aphids and whiteflies so they can't eat. And when they can't eat, they can't destroy.
Help protect your sorghum from aphids with Safina insecticide. Always read and follow label directions.
Goodland, Kansas, 1976 is where it all began for Hayden Outdoors Real Estate. Over 200 brokers and agents from coast to coast. We're still going strong. If you want to sell your farm, ranch, hunting property, needing a land valuation, or in the position to purchase your next property, give our team a call at 866-741-8323. That's 866-741-8323. Or visit HaydenOutdoors.com. Hayden Outdoors is the brand that sells the land.
Phones nowadays can do practically anything, including feed you.
And now they cannot.
Well, that is if you download the McDonald's app. Use the McDonald's app to get deals on the food you love, including McCafés, soft drinks, fries, and so much more. Plus, keep up to date on what's trending at McDonald's with the latest promotions, events, new products, and specials. You can even order and pay from the app. So download it today and score from your local McDonald's at Burlington, Colby, Goodland, and Lamar.
You're tuned in to the Morning Blitz.
All they do is sit around and talk.
On 102.5 U Rock and the Rockingham app.
Once again, kicking along here on a Thursday morning. Glad you're with us. I know we had a text from Michael during the break there talking about stadium stuff, and unfortunately, I've had some issues with the text line this morning. Great time for that when you're flying by yourself, but that's all right. We are pleased to welcome into the show former co-host of the Morning Blitz and now a brand new dad, Dan Lucero, joins us. Good morning, Dan. How we doing? How's the sleep?
I'm so tired all the time. You know this, Ross. You've been blessed 3 times over to be a dad, and you know that first month. Everybody tells you that first month is a tough one. And I was just thinking the other day, hey man, at least that first month's almost over. Nah, man, we're halfway through it as of today. So it's been wonderful, of course, but it has. I don't know what day it is. Like running on empty for sure, but it's just part of it and part of the experience. Other than that, everything's great.
I'm got, of course the sleep part is all, it's all that we all joke about that stuff, but I mean, it is truly a blessing to have a little one in the house, though, I'm sure.
It is. We've been very fortunate. He's been great, and it is. It's everything everyone says it is, and my wife and I are just overjoyed. So it's been a great start to parenthood. I've been fortunate enough to be able to take some paternity leave from my job at WIBW. So I've been in the house, been able to help. Changing the diapers, doing the feedings, just doing my part, getting in where I fit in, So yeah, it's been great.
Absolutely. Well, once again, congratulations to you and Abby, and welcome wonderful baby to the world. So that's fantastic. Dan Lucero is our guest here once again. He's of course on WIBW Sports now, but of course now a brand new father. But Dan is able to squeeze a little bit of time away from the kid to spend some time with us and talk a little bit of sports. I want to start first and foremost, Dan, talking about the news that kind of came out yesterday with Kansas pushing through, to be able to say, well, we're able to bring the Chiefs and the Royals across the border if they choose to do so, especially if Governor Kelly signs this into law. What does this mean, in your opinion, for Kansas, for the state of Kansas, bringing those two teams across the border possibly?
Well, for now, I think it's a lot of just posturing. It's a lot of just, okay, we've passed something in the state legislature that says that we can maybe pass something later on that would give us the opportunity to then make a real bid to get the Chiefs to play on the other side of the state line. At the end of the day, like, I don't think it matters all that much which side of the state line the Kansas City Chiefs and Kansas City Royals play on. It's all Kansas City. Like, and if you live in Kansas City, Missouri proper, you probably don't feel that way. But I think if you are a fan of those teams, you support the Kansas City teams. It doesn't particularly matter if the stadium's in Blue Springs or Raytown, or if it's in Overland Park or Bonner Springs. It doesn't really matter all that much. The thing that will be interesting is we know that the vote was defeated in Kansas City, Missouri, because there was a lot of obfuscation on the part of the ownership groups of the Chiefs and the Royals, and it sounded like a lot of what they were asking for is public money. And I am not a great fan of cutting billions of dollars worth of checks and taxes to billionaires to build them palaces for their sports teams. Kansas City, Missouri already said no. I don't know what Kansas City, Kansas, or Johnson County, or the state of Kansas is going to have to say in that regard. But surely there will have to be a better presentation on behalf of the Hunt family, of John Sherman, the owners of the Chiefs and the Royals. If they're going to get something done, it's very clear it's not just going to be, everybody's going to roll out the red carpet for us and give us whatever we want because we're the Chiefs and the Royals. Well, that didn't happen in Kansas City, Missouri. I don't know if that's going to happen in Kansas yet, and we're a long way from finding out.
Dan Lucero joining us on the Hurl Chevrolet GMC video stream. Here's the thing that I've said ever since they've even started the conversations back before they voted in Missouri, but is it really necessary that they need brand new stadiums of the Royals and the Chiefs? Because honestly, I don't feel like they look that bad or that outdated. I feel like they've done a decent job.
No, they don't. It's not even so much about the stadiums, the places where the teams play. It's about putting them somewhere where you can develop around where the teams play so that you have tenants, if you will, that are there 365 days of the year instead of just the 81 home games for the Royals or the 8 home games for the Chiefs. You look at the new ballparks that are built and where they're built and who owns what around those ballparks. Baseball stadiums, football stadiums are best thought of as real estate developments, and the teams themselves are largely thought of as just another tenant, right? Look at the Rockies. Look at Coors Field in downtown Denver. Wonderful ballpark.
Mm-hmm.
You know who owns everything around that ballpark? That brand new hotel off the third base side. That's the same people who own the Rockies, right? Like, this is a money-making venture for Dick Monfort and Charlie Monfort, the Monfort family. So that is what for the Royals in particular, that's what John Sherman's looking for. Yeah, he's looking for a new ballpark. They don't need a new ballpark. The K's in great shape. It's a gem. They should play there for 100 years. It's not about the ballpark. It's about, having a Shake Shack a block away that John Sherman owns, or having a hotel down the right field line that John Sherman owns, or having some shopping, some retail in the area that John Sherman owns and can make money on in all of the time in which the Royals are not playing home games. So that's how you have to think about this. This is not about, oh man, these stadiums are rotting. The concrete is bad. That was the big thing with the Royals were saying. The concrete's in bad. Whatever, man. You're full of it. This is not about the shape of the stadiums. This is about those stadiums just sit there. And if you want to do something after the game, you either go back to your tailgate or you go to that weird Denny's that I don't even think is still there anymore across the Blue Ridge cutoff. Like, that's what it is. This is about making sure that you've got your hands in some more cookie jars, in some more ways to make money around the team that you own. That's it for the Royals. I think from the Chiefs' perspective, they're kind of happy with whatever. Like, if the Royals move, great. We'll tear down the K. We'll build Chiefs Kingdom Village around Old Arrowhead, and we'll make our money that way. If not, then we'll get a multi-purpose facility. You build a dome stadium. If they build a dome stadium or something with a retractable roof, you know what you can bid on? Super Bowls. You know what else you can bid on? The Final Four. Final Four has been in Kansas City more than it's been in any other city in the United States. That's still true. Even though they haven't been back since it was at Kemper Arena in 1988, that's still true that the Kansas City metro area is where they played the most Final Fours. Maybe you'd like to get one back. I'm not saying that's definitely going to happen, but that's a little bit more what the Chiefs side of this has in mind.
The Chiefs make more. The Chiefs and getting a new stadium makes more sense to me because you can put more events in if you put a roof on it, whether it be concerts or, like you said, the Final Four, or heck, there's Olympic swim trials. You put a pool in there. You can do all that kind of stuff as well.
Yeah, and look, I don't know that Kansas City would get a Super Bowl. Like, I know that's a really appealing thing to think about. Wow, wouldn't it be cool if Kansas City got a Super Bowl? Detroit's gotten 2 in 30 years. Like, there are cities that are a fuller part of the Super Bowl rotation, and that's not what Kansas City is ever really going to be. Like, that I don't see that as a possibility. But the Final Four, yeah, man, Kansas City gets the Final Fours. They build a 70,000 seat retractable roof stadium. Whether they build that out, whether they build on the site of the Truman Sports Complex, just put a roof on the existing stadium and make some modern improvements there, or whether they build something out by the Legends Complex where they've got the Speedway and Children's Mercy Park and all that. Again, I don't know how much that really matters. Kansas City's Kansas City.
Yeah, no, you're right. Dan Lucero, our guest here on the Morning Blitz. Let's change over. We're talking some baseball, of course, talking about the Royals and stuff like that, and John Sherman in the stadium. How about the team this year? I tell you, getting up 10 games above 500, but they've kind of hit a little bit a lull here on this West Coast swing. How much of it is just the fact that they've played some very good competition, minus the Athletics here the last 2 games, but playing, of course, the Dodgers and the Yankees for this little bit of a swoon here at this point in the season for the Royals?
I can't say I'm surprised they've struggled in Oakland. They were so keyed up for that 12-game stretch where they played 4 consecutive first-place teams, right? You had Cleveland, Seattle, you had the Yankees, you had the Dodgers, and you got to be your best every single night against those teams. They went 5-7 in that stretch, which isn't good, but it's also not bad. Like, that's a respectable effort. They were in most of those games. They only really got blown out in the two of their 3 losses against the Yankees. They're not as good as the Yankees. You know what? You know who else has that problem? Everybody else in the American League. Like, that's not that big a deal. Yep. They're not as good as the Dodgers. You know who else isn't as good as the Dodgers? Everybody in the National League. So, to go 2-5 in that stretch, I don't think was that alarming or anything. It just told you kind of where the Royals are at in the hierarchy of things in baseball, where they're not quite as good as those 2 teams. But they go 5-7 in that stretch, and then you go out to Oakland, a last place team on the road. You're playing in front of 2,800 people, maybe. And I think it's natural to have a bit of a letdown. I think we've seen that the last 2 nights. The Royals just haven't had that same kind of energy, that same kind of verve that I think they played with the last couple of weeks. And now they need Seth Lugo to pitch well this afternoon. You got to avoid a sweep. because if you get swept by the Oakland A's, now you start to feel like you're leaking oil a little bit. You're down to only 6 games over 500. Cleveland has helped out they had lost 4 straight before they won yesterday. So like it wouldn't be the death knell of the season by any stretch of the imagination, but they've got to sharpen up a little bit. Even in that stretch where they went 5-7 against the first place teams, you go back even further than that. They had lost 2 out of 3 to San Diego at home. They lost 3 out of 4 in Minnesota. They haven't really played well for the last 3 weeks or so, and it really is not playing well. They're not getting the big hit with runners in scoring position. Their starters aren't going deep into games. Defensively, they're a really good defensive team. They haven't been as sharp defensively even in the last handful of games. And the big problem continues to be the bullpen. That is the Achilles heel of this ball club. That's the one thing that really has to be addressed if they're going to be in the mix and make the postseason this year. They've got a real look at it. They've got to upgrade the team, and that's the easiest place to upgrade in some ways, is to go out and get an arm or two, then get somebody out in the late innings.
I think the thing that's been interesting here the last couple of games has been the starting pitching's not been great, but the bullpen's been just fine. You know, they haven't really allowed many runs, but it's easier to pitch when you don't have a lead, when you're the bullpen.
Yeah, the high leverage innings continue to be an issue point. Yeah, even last night, I mean, they're down 2-1 going into the 7th, and that's a winnable game. Like Cole Reagan's pitches a good ball game. He was a little wild, but he was generally solid. And it's 2-1, and I felt like they were going to win that game right up until John Schreiber comes out and gives up 2 runs in the 7th inning. And that's one of your guys you've been using in high leverage. That's been one of the most used relievers by Matt Quatrero this year, and he couldn't put his foot down and put up a 0 that would have given the Royals a really good chance to rally late. So they've got to address that, and I think J.J. Piccolo, the general manager, is keenly aware that is the area they have to address.
Dan Lucero, WIW Sports, with us here on the Morning Blitz. As you know, being a new dad, you have to find time to sleep whenever you possibly can, no matter what the clock says. I hope you were sleeping 2 nights ago when the Rockies blew a top of the 9th lead there against the Dodgers.
I was not. I saw that all happen. I'm not going to say.
I had to go back and rewatch it. I could not believe it.
Well, here's the thing. Like the circumstances of that one in particular were pretty remarkable because, I mean, Teoscar Hernandez struck out on the 1-2 pitch.
I know, right?
And everybody in the park knew it except the one guy whose opinion mattered. I guess the 2 guys. The home plate umpire appealed down to first. Lance Barksdale said it wasn't a swing. And then the fact that the go-ahead 3-run homer came 1 pitch later was the most predictable outcome maybe of the season. Those are the terms under which Rockies and Dodgers games are contested. But it's not shocking in the broad view. There are 6 teams this season who have given up 5 or more runs in an inning in the 9th inning or later to lose a baseball game. 5 or more runs in the 9th or later to lose from a winning position.
Wow.
Those 6 teams are the Rockies, the Rockies, the Rockies, the Rockies, the Rockies, and the Rockies. They've done it 6 times, man. Like at some point, I mean, you want to talk about bad bullpen. Sometimes that's just who you are.
It's horrible.
So, yeah, that was pretty predictable. And it was nice that they were able to battle back and win last night. I mean, I don't think you even have to squint necessarily. If you look, you can see some positives. Ezekiel Tovar's having a breakout season at shortstop. Some of the other young hitters are starting to show a pulse. Michael Tolia homered and tripled last night. He's had a pretty good homestand. Some of the starting pitching, Cal Quantrill's thrown the ball really well. That's been a nice surprise for them. There are some positives. That's a wretched baseball team. And it starts with the fact that they genuinely, no lead is big enough to feel safe, even with only 3 outs left to get.
Yeah, it was like hard to believe, yet not hard to believe watching the whole thing. I mean, it just truly was. And to see Jake Cave completely lose his mind when it was all done.
I've never seen that before. I've never seen an outfielder like do that.
Yeah, I know. It was weird.
But I gotta say though, I that's going to stay with me because Jake Cave, he's a veteran guy. He's literally a gray beard. It's his first year with the club. He's got every reason not to give a damn like what happens, not just to kind of roll your eyes and, oh, well, another loss to the Dodgers. This is kind of what again, those are the terms under which the Rockies and the Dodgers have been playing baseball games for the better part of the last decade. They play 9 innings and the Dodgers win. There's just not much variation on the theme. The Dodgers beat the Rockies, beat them soundly, beat them repeatedly year after year after year. But for Jake Cave to show that kind of emotion, still be hot when the inning ended, be hot at the end of the game, and then to score the winning run last night. that showed me a little something. That revealed something, I think, about Jake Cave, but it said a little something about this ball club that, yeah, they're dead last in the National League West, and they're not going anywhere, and they're probably going to lose 100 games again. But they care a little bit. Like they're not willing to accept that as their fate, maybe necessarily. I don't know. It could be reading too much into it, but I did. I appreciated that from JK very much.
No, like you said, I was with you when I saw him go after from the out when he turned around after that ball flew away, flew over the right field into the bullpen, and he turned around. He was yelling at the. I mean, you knew nobody heard him, but he was just going nuts out there. And then he was doing as he walked after the walk off. He made his way in and he gave his piece to him and they had to separate. I mean, like you said, that's not a guy that's not like Charlie Blackmon, who's been invested with the Rockies for a long time, or if that's just a guy who's there on maybe a 1 or 2 year deal, getting after things. And I'll tell you another person I've been impressed with this series has been Brenton Doyle. He had a couple of sack flies last night, and boy, that catch he made in the loss 2 nights ago I thought it was the catch of the year. That was unbelievable.
He won the Gold Glove in center field last year, so the defensive bona fides are pretty well established at this point. The question was, is he going to hit? Like, not even is he going to hit just is he going to hit at all? He was the worst offensive everyday player in baseball last year, and he has made giant strides at the plate. He is striking out less. He is walking more, so he's making more contact. He's getting on base more often. He's moved up in the order. Last year, he was automatic. You wrote him in pen in the 9-hole because he hit like a pitcher. This year, they've moved him up in the order a little bit. In some games, he's been hitting. I think he was hitting leadoff last night. So his improvement as a player, he's little on the older side for a guy who you would have considered a prospect. He was a Division II guy, Shepherd University in West Virginia. So he's a bit of a late bloomer, but he has improved so much as an offensive player that he looks like a staple there for about the next half decade in center field. That's a pretty nice player development success story for the Rocks.
He is Dan Lucero, WWW Sports. Dan, I got to say, you may be lacking sleep, but I didn't hear a baby cry the entire time that we were on the air, so you must be doing something right, my friend.
My wife is going to get the credit for that particular part of the equation. Also, I'm in the basement. That might help. But no, I've been on paternity leave for the last 2 weeks, so I've got all these takes. I'm like a balloon. You unpinch the end of, and all the hot air comes rushing out of me. So you got that. You got all the hot air this morning. Where I got a couple more days before I go back to real work.
That's all we want. If you need to relieve some pressure, just send me a message. We'll get you on to get that done. We don't need you blowing a gasket. All right. So
you got
thanks,
it, man.
Dan. Appreciate the time. Have a good one, my friend.
Always a pleasure, Ross.
Once again, great stuff there. That is Dan Lucero joining us here on the Morning Blitz. Once again, he is on the Pearl Chevrolet GMC video stream. All right, let's get to a break. When we come back, we'll wrap the show with some final thoughts on the College World Series next here on the Morning Blitz on a Thursday.
Need to make a change? Get the latest devices at Next Tech Wireless. Right now, you can get up to $1,000 off a new phone like the Samsung Galaxy S24 or the iPhone 15. Well, what are you waiting for? Make the switch now. Next Tech Wireless. Home on the range.
Your livelihood is important to you. You work hard to succeed in your farming operation, crop, livestock, home, vehicles, and special needs. We have you covered. Discounts are available for new business, remodeling, hail-resistive roofing, multi-policy, and many more. Optional coverage endorsements as well for machinery ingestion and equipment breakdown. Umbrella coverage for additional coverage on your home, farm, and auto. See the girls at the insurance agency at 1020 Main in Goodland or call 785-899-5011.
You want to grill out, but the price of meat has been skyrocketing at the supermarket. So how about 20 ribeyes for $39.99? Prime House Direct, America's #1 online butcher, is having a gigantic 4-day sale. Today through Saturday, 8 a.m. till 7 p.m. Rain or shine at SS Plaza, 990 South Range Avenue by the DMV in Colby.
Look for the big truck.
And the Big Tent. 20 ribeyes, $39.99. Cases of fillets, New York strips, Delmonico's, boneless chicken breast, large shrimp, and now huge Alaskan king crab legs with wholesale boxes of individual prime portions. Vacuum sealed for long freezer life. Accepting cash, credit, debit card, and EBT. 20 ribeyes, $39.99. Stop by and register to win our $1,000 prime safe chicken, pork, and seafood package. No purchase necessary. 20 ribeyes, $39.99. At SS Plaza, 990 South Range Avenue by the DMV in Colby. Today through Saturday, 8 a.m. till 7 p.m. Rain or shine. Online at theprimehousedirect.com.
Hi, this is Stephanie Dole with F&B Bank. At F&B, we offer many different types of deposits accounts to help you achieve your financial goals. Whether it be personal checking or savings, business checking account, or a variety of CD options, we're here to help. Stop by our bank directly east at the post office in Goodland or call 785-890-2000 to begin working with me or another F&B Bank team member. F&B Bank, member FDIC.
If you're shopping for a banking institution, visit with Equity Bank of Hoxie, Grinnell, and Quinter, Kansas. The Equity Bank is heavily invested in local business and activities contributing in many ways back to their community. Their employees are involved with many organizations and area events. Plus, a lot of experience comes with that staff. You'll find valuable local assistance when you bank at the Equity Bank of Hoxie, Grinnell, Quinter, and other locations in Western Kansas. The Equity Bank, member FDIC.
It's the Morning Blitz.
Hey guys, you ready to let the dogs out?
Weekday mornings from 7 to 8 Mountain, 8 to 9 Central on 102.5 U Rock and the Rocking M app.
Big thanks again to Dan Lucero for joining the program today, keeping me company. And I'm glad that we could relieve some pressure. He's got a lot of takes that he needed to get off his chest, and I'm glad that he could get some of those off, particularly talking about his the Rockies and, of course, the Royals. Once again, if you're just tuning in, late last night, the Royals lose 5-1 at the Oakland Coliseum. They had 8 hits, 3 doubles, but only went 1 for 6 with runners in scoring position. Cole Reagans had 7 strikeouts, but he walked 4. A little struggle there on the mound for Cole Reagans. In fact, there were 7 free passes issued by Kansas City pitching as they lose 5-1. They will wrap up that series today at 2:30 Central Time, of course, on sister station AM 790 KXXX. And I mentioned Brenton Doyle had a couple of sacrifice flies, including the winning sac fly that drove in Jake Cave for the Rockies to bounce back and beat the Dodgers 7-6 in walk-off fashion. Michael Tolia with the big 3-run blast in the first to get the Rockies on the board early. They would blow that lead. It was a back and forth affair, but they end up getting it when it matters, getting the lead when it matters the most at the very, very end. And it is official. Some of the local news, K-State has officially signed Coleman Hawkins to a deal there at Kansas State. Once again, Hawkins, one of the best players out of the portal, going to Kansas State after leading the team and leading his Illinois team that went to the Elite Eight with 6 rebounds per game, 2 steals, a block, and was third on the team in scoring at 12 points per contest, earning second team All Big Ten honors. He's a great player. And I think the thing that maybe blew my mind the most that we haven't talked about, not even with Joe Tillery, was the fact that what I believe K-State is paying him. And once again, this is all hearsay. I've read it and heard it a couple times, but I think they're paying close to almost $2 million this upcoming year to have Coleman Hawkins play basketball there at Kansas State. So a heck of a job by Kansas State's NIL and boosters to help bring in one of the top players in the transfer portal. And finally, wrapping things up in the Men's College World Series. Yesterday, we have our championship game set. It'll be Tennessee and Texas A&M meeting there at the Chuck starting on Saturday night. Florida took down Kentucky in the first game of the day yesterday morning. They had 15 runs scored against Kentucky pitching. Florida would have loved to have saved a few of those runs back because they were given they got 1 run in yesterday's loss there to Texas A&M. And look, it was probably going to be Tennessee and Texas A&M. Not too often, although we saw it last year, not too often do we see where a team loses in the first. It doesn't go 2-0, make the championship. By going to 2-0 in your first 2 games at whether the Women's College World Series or the Men's College World Series, position yourself very well, because then you got to fight your way back to the loser's bracket, and it takes a lot of pitching depth, and a lot of teams don't really have that amount of pitching depth when it comes to it. But once again, yesterday, Florida beat Kentucky 15-4. Then Tennessee beat Florida State 7-2. The number one national seed is in the championship game for the first time since 1999. So it's been a long time. And we'll see if they can win a national title as well. And then Texas A&M and Florida played later last night, and a 6-0 shutout, I should say, for Texas A&M over Florida. So Florida didn't have any runs. They had 15 in the first game yesterday, none in the second. They would have loved to have saved a few of those runs back from that first game. But once again, the College World Series will resume after a 2-day hiatus because they plan for maybe a possibility of having some teams win and having to play another elimination game, but that did not happen. So 2 days off today before the championship series begins on Saturday.
A 3-run walk-off home run, a game-winning walk-off with a walk-off. His second walk-off hit of the season. In walk-off fashion, that baby's go.
Interesting article coming out of CBS Sports yesterday as some NFL owners are discussing the potential quarterback salary cap in the wake of an escalating market. I don't think it's not probably going to happen according to this article, but every quarterback contract is just continuing to just skyrocket up, and how many millions and millions of dollars. And before you know it, there's going to be $1 billion deal if we continue on this trend. And so they're possibly thinking about changing the NFL model for quarterbacks to kind of like an NBA model where you have the max and the super max, which limits the number of players and teams can sign to a certain dollar amount. So I don't know if this is going to happen or not, but there's certainly some ridiculous amount of money being thrown around at the professional level, particularly for quarterbacks. And I'm not saying that they don't earn it, but it's just a ridiculous amount of money. Just absolutely ridiculous how much money is being made. Anyway, that'll do it for our show today. Thanks again to Dan Lucero for hopping on the program. Once again, no Christian Peck-Dimmitt tomorrow. We'll be back again flying solo. Hope to have Eric Sorensen on from D1 Baseball to talk a little bit about the College World Series and what he's seen so far. If not, we'll find someone else to join us for tomorrow's show. So we'll see you in 23 hours. It's been the Morning Blitz. Thank you again for listening.